You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. SEC Media Days, we will be there a week from Monday. Leading up to SEC Media Days, we will give you a thumbnail preview of every position group for the LSU football Tigers. Yesterday, we started with the quarterbacks. Last hour, we looked at the running backs. Right now, let's look at LSU's wide receivers. All right, if you're looking at the LSU football roster for 2022, and you're looking for positions of strength, offensively, the undeniable place where you have to start is at the receiver position. As a matter of fact, just listen to Brian Kelly talking about his receivers.
They can go get the football. We need to be a little bit mentally tougher, play in and play out, but they can compete at a high level.
They can compete at a high level, and you've got a group of guys that have produced and returned. Unlike the running backs, where you lose your top two running backs from a year ago, at receiver, you got everybody back. Yes, Coy Moore transferred out midway through the year last year, but you have got a boatload of talent returning. Kayshon Boutte is where it starts. He is going to get national All-American honors and national award preseason recognition, and is justifiably so. He is on everybody's mock draft as one of the top receivers taken in next year's draft, and provided he stays healthy, he will absolutely be just that. He exploded in the final 3 games of his freshman season in 2020 and did nothing to disappoint in 2021. Despite playing just half the season, y'all. He had the fractured ankle with dislocation against Kentucky. Despite playing just half the season, Kayshon Boutte still finished as LSU's leader in receiving yards with 509 and receiving touchdowns with 9. The guy played half the season. Yo. The only player that had more receptions than Kayshon Boutte was Jack Bech. Another reason to be infinitely excited about this receiver group. Jack Bech, as a freshman, had 43 catches for 489 yards and 3 touchdowns. He averaged 11.4 yards per carry. And please keep in mind that because LSU had so grossly mismanaged their roster, they were using a 6'2", 220-pound receiver as a tight end. Jack Bech is not a tight end. Jack Bech is a receiver. And when he can commit all of his efforts this season on playing receiver, he will be an even better receiver than he was as a freshman when he was a freshman all-SEC caliber player for the Tigers. Remember also Jaray Jenkins, who had some heroics against Texas A&M catching the game-winning pass. Jaray Jenkins was your second leading receiver with 34 catches and 502 yards, averaged 14.8 yards per reception a year ago for the LSU Tigers. Jaray Jenkins made the decision to return for a senior season to try to impress the scouts. He will certainly have the opportunity to do that for the LSU Tigers coming up this year. One other thing about Kayshon Boutte, let me not miss that point. Brian Kelly, of course, before spring began, made these comments about Kayshon Boutte, which caught a lot of people's attention.
We're in the process of building a relationship. We're, I would say, I know his last name right now. And I say that only because we're in that process of he's re-engaging. You know, he's been, injured. He's had a second surgery, but we're getting more acquainted every day. Look, he's a great player. He's a good kid, but this has been a rough spot for him. And what happens is you tend to get distracted because you're not involved in everything. But he's learning you got to be involved in everything, whether you're injured or not. And that's a process that he's going through, and we're seeing some really good changes. We had a nice conversation in the training room this morning where he's on top of his academics, and he's making good progress. But the good part about it is the surgery was successful. He's making good progress. He's in a walking boot right now, and that's really the most important thing. The rest of the stuff, we'll work it out between the two of us.
Kayshon,
not that hard.
Kayshon Boutte, by the way, is no longer in a walking boot, as we have seen videos and social media posts recently. Kayshon Boutte has been running around. He has shed the boot. He is declared himself healthy and ready to go, which is awesome. So when you look at your top 3 receivers from a year ago, Boutte, Jenkins, Bech, all back, but so too are Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. Your top 5 receivers from a season ago are all back. Malik Nabers had the massively impressive touchdown catch in the back of the end zone against Kentucky. If you don't remember it, Google it. And, of course, Brian Thomas Jr., a freshman season with 28 catches for 359 yards, a couple of scores. He averaged nearly 13 yards per reception. He was the freshman who really splashed a year ago in fall camp and got the immediate opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if he can build on that, but I will also be curious to see. Of course, Trey Palmer hit the transfer portal, as did Coy Moore middle of the season last year. Deion Smith has transferred out as well. It will be so interesting to see if Chris Hilton can emerge this year. Chris Hilton last year had just 2 catches on the season. Just 2 catches. But his final catch is the one that most people will remember. Chris Hilton had what amounted to a walk-off against Kansas State in that awful bowl game that nobody wanted to see. But it was an 81-yard touchdown reception on a go route. And Brian Kelly has many times, unprompted, mentioned Chris Hilton. He is clearly impressed with Chris Hilton's physical ability. And when a head coach, unprompted, mentions a player routinely, you better believe that player is going to have opportunities. I don't know that Chris Hilton's going to be a 50-catch guy this season. I don't know that he'll be a 30-catch guy this season. But I do believe Chris Hilton is going to be a game-breaking player for LSU this season because Brian Kelly clearly likes him an awful lot. There are a couple of newcomers as well. Landon Ibieta will arrive on campus, and Kyren Lacy also joins LSU this year as well. Kyren Lacy is the transfer coming in, of course, from Thibodeau. Started his career at ULL, 6'2", 215 pounds. It's one of those things where you can be really excited about Kyren Lacy, but it might not happen for him this year. A freshman at ULL had 28 catches for 364 yards and 4 scores. In 2021, he started 6 times and was fourth on the team with 22 catches. It's probably a year for Kyren Lacy where he just gets caught up in the logjam, and maybe 2023 is the real opportunity for him to emerge after that room thins out a little bit. Kayshon Boutte will no doubt go pro. Jaray Jenkins will be out of eligibility. Transfer portal always hits a team like LSU, as did this last year with Trey Palmer and Devontae Smith and Coy Moore. If that room thins out a little bit, next year might be a better opportunity for Kyren Lacy, the ULL transfer. The one other, of course, important note, as it is with basically every position group except the offensive line, is that you have a new wide receiver coach as well. Cortez Hankton, who comes in from the national champion Georgia Bulldogs, where he produced the likes of George Pickens, and a massively talented receiver room there and productive receiver room at Georgia. A guy with ties to the state of Louisiana. Here was Brian Kelly on LSU's new receiver coach, Cortez Hankton.
From New Orleans, obviously the pedigree that Cortez brings is outstanding as a player and certainly an NFL player who had to make his own way. He was a free agent that had to earn his stripes. Nothing was handed to him. And that's what really attracted me to Cortez. He's earned it. He's got a great understanding of what we're doing in terms of developing our players on a day-to-day basis. He's seen it. He's had to do it himself. So it's just a great identification with our own players. And excited to have somebody with his skill set to, help us with what we're doing offensively as well. So extremely pleased and blessed to have Cortez with us.
And you better believe Cortez is pleased and blessed to have the talent he has in this receiver room. With all the uncertainty around who LSU's quarterback will be, one security blanket for whoever that is this receiver room, which might be the best, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country, led by Kayshon Boutte. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.